Hi everyone, how are you doing today? This is Amna Hassan back with another live streaming in front of you. I hope you guys are doing amazing with your loved ones and family up there. It's been a while. I was not having these streaming and broadcasts at my YouTube channel because I was super crazily busy in my personal and professional commitments. At the same time, I was just jiggling up my mind that who's gonna be next at my YouTube channel and what we are going to actually discuss. So today I have with me Carly Morris joining me all the way from the United States of America. She is a speaker, personal brand and image impact strategist, and also the author, Your Image Impact. So more we can hear from her. She's there and she's getting up all the setting up there. I'm gonna invite her soon. And in the same time, you guys are more than welcome to join into the streaming, to the broadcast. Leave me your comments, your feedback, and any type of questions you are having for personal branding. And just leave me your thoughts and experience also at the same time that how you are taking and carrying your personal brand. Or if you need any suggestions or tips and techniques, maybe so we are there to help you out. So yeah, looking forward to it because at the same time these streamings the live broadcast is all for you to learn and catch up the free resources we are here offering you, right? Okay, so before further ado, let's welcome Party. How are you doing?
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thank you very much for joining in. How are you doing? How's things with you?
Well, I heard you say that you were busy, and that seems to be going around. So things are great. I'm here in Michigan, so the weather is getting a little cooler, and yeah, just things are plugging along. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much and pleasure to see you and have you here. And it's been a while that we were discussing that, oh, okay, when we should be catching up.
Yeah,
And here we are.
yeah,
Absolutely. And as you know, I just, I know about your profile, but I want you to, again, give a little bit, a brief introduction of yourself, what you do, where you serve. So, yeah.
sure, yeah. So really, what I do is I help female leaders find their voice. And when I say voice, voice is actually an acronym for being a visible, original, impactful, confident go-to expert. And that is my hope for my clients and for just anybody really. I just think it's so vitally important for you to figure out what you're really good at, what sets you apart, and then don't be afraid to shout it out. And that is really hard for everybody, including me. But if we're not shouting it out and people don't know that we're available to help them and what our skills are, we're actually doing a disservice to those that need us. And we're doing a disservice to ourselves as well because, we all want to reach our goals. So my job is really to hone and shout out that credibility, that expertise, and really build confidence. I want people to claim their credibility, claim it, shout it out, and be confident in what you offer.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's the great one, the confidence. You got it
Yeah.
after the whole package or the whole journey, you've been through it. Absolutely. So great to hear from you. Okay, so let's dive into our topic, and which is again a very interesting one
Yeah.
for us, personal branding. So I feel and I believe that we have different definition and meanings of personal branding over the Google in dictionary. So
Yeah.
I want from your side, what do you feel or what do you think about? What are
Yeah.
your concepts about personal branding? And then again, you help your clients to make the out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So personal branding, I look at it maybe a little bit different because I like to combine it with image. And image is really the foundation of your personal brand, your appearance, your behavior, your communication, your digital presence. That's what makes up your image. Your personal brand then goes from there, right? It's how you show up to the world and what they're remembering about you and your ability to shout out that expertise. That is one of the key components that people often forget is that you can have all this in your head and you can know how your value, but if you're afraid to shout it out, then what happens is that your personal brand takes on a different connotation, because if you're not talking about and showing on a daily basis
Mhm.
what you're all about, people start making up their own stories about you. And that's why you have to really hone it and live it and be consistent with it. So, personal brand, image, whatever you want to call it, really is what other people think about you when you're not in the room, for instance, right? It's that it's the combination of your first impression, which happens immediately, whether it's 3, 30, or 7 seconds. And then it's, what are you doing to back that up? And what do people leave with? When they think about you, what are they remembering? And is it what you want them to remember, or had they made up something else because you didn't give many clues?
Exactly, exactly. That was coming in my mind right now. And what happened to those people who think a bit bad about ourselves, about our image? That also
Yeah.
comes in our personal brand, our identity. So, any tip or what's your take on it? If people think, for example, bad about us when we are in that room,
Hmm.
though know who we are.
Yeah.
So, from where it's coming in.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you have to be ahead of the game, right? So, people think, oh, I'll start my business and I'll worry about my personal brand later. Well, it doesn't really work that way, because your personal brand already exists. It's up to you to figure out how you want to hone it so that it's in line with how you really feel about yourself and what you want people to remember about you. So, for instance, first of all, you can't be everything to everybody. Not everybody's going to like you. Not everybody thinks I'm, the answer to their problems. And that's okay. I don't need to be everything to everybody. And you do have to come to grips with that, if you will. And that's hard, right? Because, especially if you're a people pleaser, you want everybody to like you. It's just not going to happen. So you need to determine who your client is, why you want that client, and how you're going to speak to them, and how are you going to authentically, and I kind of start disliking that word because everybody uses it, but at the same time, you have to be true to yourself. So how are you going to show up true to yourself and be somebody that your clients are looking for? And that takes some work. It really does take some work. But going back to your question, was what do you do when people don't like you? There's not a lot you can do if somebody doesn't like you, except do what is comfortable for you. And either they'll come around because they're meant to come around, or you have to let them go and concentrate on the people that are right for you.
Exactly. Yeah. It's, amazing it was. Okay, so continuing with this one, what is maybe we can say a difference between a normal personal brand or an outstanding one? If
Oh,
someone is trying to, figure out that from where I should be starting off, or maybe, anyone like mid-career level professional
yeah.
or an entrepreneur, a normal one or an outstanding one. Is there a
Well,
line?
yeah, you know what? Consistency is probably the biggest word that you need to remember when it comes to personal brand. Your personal brand doesn't just show up as, in person, but it's showing up in the content that you write. And when you show up on video, Zoom is all over, right? When you show up in creating a video, your posts on social media, all of those things work together to really shout out what your personal brand is. And if there's not consistency, that's when confusion comes into play. And that's when, an outstanding personal brand can blow away somebody else because it's consistent and well thought out. And when I mean well thought out, I don't want people to say, oh, I need to be this glamorous person. And that's not who you are, right? You have to think, what am I really good at? What do people
Mhm.
around me come to me for? What are the things that I do well that are different than other people? And how can I tap into that so that the clients that I am trying to attract see that as a benefit? And then you have to consistently talk, write, show up wearing your brand.
Exactly, exactly. And that comes in with that also, that either you are a freelancer, consultant, or entrepreneur, even
Yeah.
for the graduates also. The
Hmm.
students, like
Yes.
they have to, yeah. I mean, like they are the young talent coming in the business market now. So again, there is always a need and a requirement to understand about your identity,
Hmm.
who you are, and that
Yeah.
how you can take it. So this is what again I'm just thinking of nowadays for the graduates, especially also.
Hmm.
That's the starting part of your life, right? When you're
Yeah.
entering in your career.
Well, and I think too on that to interject here, I wish that universities, colleges would talk more about the value of first impressions and really getting your personal brand in line right out the gate. It's just so important, and there are people that innately do it, and there are people that are taking the steps to do that right out the gate, and they are surpassing some other people. And the other thing that happens too, I think, is that when you really understand who you are and what's important to you and who's important to you, I think that makes you better prepared to find the job that's right for you, and to find the company that's right for you. I think when you're interviewing, I think an interview should happen on both sides of the table, right? I think that the company should be interviewing you to make sure that you fit in with their brand and their culture. And I think that you should be interviewing them to make sure also that they fit in with your brand culture.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's always a two-way. Yeah,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
it should be a two-way in order to feel good when you are in your career, when you're
Yes,
working with people operating. Absolutely. Okay, so let's check some comments, or if you have some questions, so we can take it.
sure.
Hmm. Right. So Sheikh Hassan is there. Hello, Amna. Hope you're doing well. Thank you very much for joining in and asking this. Okay, so the question is, what steps should I take to start building my personal brand? Yeah, so this is the part of our discussion too. At the same time, that is there any framework or again a
Mhm.
research patterns we should carry out to build or create our personal brand?
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. The first thing I would say is make a list. Make a list of what makes you you, uniquely you. And that's one of the things that I did, and that's how I got into this career to begin with. Is I was wondering, there's something else out there, and I'm not sure what it was. And I made a list of everything that made me me. Carol Morris, not even Carol Morris Eckerly, but Carol Morris, the original person, right? What were the things that I like to do? What were the things that I brought to the table that might have been a little bit different or that made me feel really good? So that's the first thing that I would say. The next thing is remember the acronym GAP. And really, what you want to do is you want to fill in the gap between you and your audience. And that means that you have to be really clear about what your goals are, and you need to understand who your audience is, and you need to understand what their perception is and what your perception is, and if there's a gap. And if there's a gap to fill, then there's a couple things that can happen, right? So sometimes we say, okay, our audience is over here, we're over here, and we're willing to move a little bit in order to attract this audience. That's kind of the perfect scenario, right? The other thing that could happen is that you say, gosh, I need to do a whole 180. I can't reach this audience unless I totally shift over here. And I'm okay with it. It makes me feel good. That's okay too. But what you might find out when you're really doing your research is that this audience is never going to make you feel good, and that you don't really have to shift that much in order to find an audience that really is who you need to be talking to.
Mhm.
I remember when I first started, I wanted to work with everybody. I wanted to work with stay-at-home moms um, and retirees and men and women, and it was an exercise in frustration. It just wasn't working for me. It made me crazy because there were certain things and certain strategies that I wanted people to take, and not everybody needed them. And so
Mm.
I needed to adjust my own audience a little bit so that because their perception was that I was a stylist, and that bothered me really
Oh
immensely,
yeah.
immensely. But
You
and
know what?
stylists are awesome. I mean, and style is a huge component of what I do. But
Yes.
this was my problem. My original company name was called Revision Style and Image. Well,
Ah, right. Yeah. You know what? You know what? I just want to hold here and just take a moment that when I saw your profile and then we got to know each other. So I was also thinking deep down that what do you do, how do you do, and how you appear. So it's
mhm,
it's bringing out the style version also. Yeah,
Yeah,
I totally can relate. Because
yeah,
you are also uh, coaching your clients in a way that how they have to style,
yeah,
how they have
yeah.
to be, and this is what I really like about it.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah,
and that is one of the components that people often miss is that the way they
uh-huh,
show up physically is the introduction to their image and the personal brand. First impressions happen extremely quickly, like we talked about earlier. And that first impression is going to be the foundation that others carry with you when they think about who you are. So if you're showing up, and you want people to think you're really detail oriented, but you're showing up with mismatched shoes and holes in your t-shirt, it again, that word confusion comes out, right? It just doesn't make sense. Or if you want people to think that you're really laid back and chill and you keep or creative and you keep showing up in a very conservative blue suit, again, you're not giving them any visual clues to say, oh wow, this is a creative person, this person really can help me out. They don't
yeah.
see it, so they don't feel it, and they don't remember it. So
Yeah,
yeah.
because again, because we as a human are visualizers. When we
Hmm.
meet and greet, we visualize and then keep
Yeah.
our visions with that and take it further.
Yeah.
Absolutely, love it, love it. Okay, so I was just thinking one more question, and just that came in my mind also. Now, what are the elements, if you want to figure out or just list down, that we have to carry with creating the personal brand, like starting from the beliefs or
Yeah.
values and then so on. So, what are
So,
your honest
yeah.
opinion?
So my other acronym, like I introduced earlier, is VOICE, the VOICE acronym. First of all, you have to be visible, and you also have to take care of your visible credibility, if you will. So we just kind of hit on that. You have to make sure that what you are choosing to wear every day, your grooming, all that stuff is in line with your goals and the audience that you're trying to attract.
Hmm.
Now, that doesn't mean that you need to dress like your audience. As a matter of fact, you probably don't need to dress like your audience because they don't need another one of themselves. They need another person that's a solution, right? So
Absolutely.
you've got to have visible credibility. You also need to make sure that you're tapping into your originality, and your originality is what brings those opportunities to you. So
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier, make a list of what you do really well. When I work with clients, we do a good old fashioned SWOT analysis. So we're actually talking about their strengths, their weaknesses, opportunities that maybe they haven't tapped into, and then threats, things that they don't want to do, that they're not able to do, that we, just outside elements that just aren't going to allow them to do these items. But
Yeah.
then we really, work on how can we take these other things and make them work for them, right? So
Mhm.
that's opportunity and originality coming through. And then
Mhm.
your instant message, that's where the impact comes in. Again, what is your instant message? I want people to choose 1 to 3 words, that adjectives that describe them. So if they walk into a room and they walk back out, or they show up on Zoom really quick and then they fade away, what are the 1 to 3 adjectives, descriptors that people remember about them?
Right.
Did they remember that they're creative? Did they remember that they looked fun? Did they remember that they looked bold? I don't
Yes,
know,
yes, yes.
yeah. And
I got it.
really,
Yeah.
I say 1 to 3, but at the core of it, I want my clients to choose one because that is their foundational piece. And when you have that foundational piece or that foundational word, every time you do something, it kind of becomes your check and balance, right? It's like, okay, well, if my word is, again, creative, I just use that word a lot, but if my word is creative and I show up in a blue suit, check mark, probably not going to work for me, right? If
Yeah.
I say, my word is creative and I show up on video very ho ho, and just kind of boring, that doesn't
Yeah.
work. If I show up in my pictures and I'm just sitting there like this, probably not going to work. So check and balance. Okay.
Check
So
it
that's your
out.
instant message. And
Yeah,
then
and
you've
that,
got,
yeah, yeah, go
oh,
on.
sorry, confidence and credibility. That credibility piece, you've got to be able to talk about the things that you've done. You've got to show up on things like this so that people can hear your thoughts. And then
Exactly.
expertise is really, again, that component of shouting out your expertise. Are you showing up on video? Are you showing up consistently on social media platforms? Are you doing webinars? Are you are your brand assets, consistent? When people Google you, do they find you? So that's really that voice acronym: visible, original, confident, or impactful, confident, expert. That's what you need to think about. Do I check those boxes?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? What you were saying, that when you enter in the room and you leave in the room, so people can recognize with the one adjective. One
Yeah.
of my one of my doctor, she's my good friend out there, and by profession she's a doctor. She told me at my very early age that she is already a personality, a very charming personality.
Mhm.
And she told me that, hey, Amna, you have to be in your life and career in a way that when you walk in your room, people will like, whoa, you know, like that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
having very, very positive, good, healthy confidence at the same
Yes.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And what's cool about that too, Anna, is that, when you walk into a room and people say, ooh, they can be saying ooh for many reasons.
yeah, yeah.
Ooh, oh, she looks so kind and so approachable. I can't wait to talk to her. Oh, wow, she looks like she owns the room. Oh, wow, she looks like somebody that would be super fun to hang out with. There's so many different things that can happen, and they're all good as long as they are what you are choosing for yourself. So if I
Exactly.
walked into a room and I left and people said, oh, she looks so sweet, so kind and gentle, I would be bummed out. Those are great words,
Of course.
but they're not my words, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I hope that people think I'm a nice person and I hope they think I'm a kind person, but sweet just certainly would not be what makes me feel great about me. I rather people think that I'm dynamic or bold or creative. Those are
yeah, yeah.
words that
And
mean more to
I
me.
think that way. Don't worry. I think that way. We are virtually meeting here, and when we met first time on LinkedIn, I literally thought this way that you are there. You
Thank
speak up with the bold voice. Yeah,
you. Yeah.
and I just like about it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's check in some comments or feedback if we got in, so then we can move ahead. All right, so Zilisha is saying, hi, I'm not good to see you. Thank you very much for your message and your presence. Okay, so one message is there by Nasra Javeen. Welcome, Carly, to Amna's YouTube channel. Amazing host as well as amazing guest.
Thank you.
Okay, and then we have, what are some tips for growing your personal brand? That's all we are covering
Yeah. Yeah.
our conversation. Awesome. Thank you very much for your questions. Okay, so Shrey Hassan is there. What is the difference between personal branding and self promotion? Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Our brand stays with us whether we're quiet or we're loud. So, whether I show up here or I'm just walking down the street, my personal brand it's just kind of around me, right? Self promotion is an interesting word, right? So self promotion, in one way, it feels like a word that feels heavy or um, like you're stepping out in a way that is maybe even offensive to people. Not offensive, I don't mean it like that. I'm trying to think of my words here. Um, Almost
Oh,
like it's too much. Like, oh, she's always in our face and she's always doing this.
okay.
And that may not be the way that this wording was intended. That's what comes to mind for me. But really, I think what is important is that your personal brand, it just is. But shouting out your expertise, which also could be, you know, worded as self promotion, is
Uh,
when you are shouting it out in such a way that it's helpful to others, not in a bragging kind of way, not in a me, I way, but in a
mm, right,
I have thoughts that can help you and I'm going to share them with you so that you can benefit.
right.
When you read through somebody's posts and everything says I and me and it's very self-serving and it never even circles around to bring it back home to the audience.
Yeah,
For me, I get a little bit annoyed with that because I don't I want let's face it, you know,
yeah,
we
yeah,
want everything to be about ourselves, right? So if I'm reading LinkedIn, somehow I want it to allow me to grow a little bit or to me to think a little bit. And that's funny because that's a me as an audience member. But as a professional, you need to stay away from me, unless you're saying, this is the reason that I can help you, and here are the reasons, or how I can help you, or what you need to do to move forward. It's a strange, it's kind of a strange phenomenon. So it's all about you and it's not about you all at the same time.
Yes, there you go. That's the one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was also thinking the same way. Ultimately, it's about you, but again, you have to serve more to gain it by the end of the day, like
Yes,
that.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're not talking about yourself and how your expertise and your credibility is a game changer for somebody else, then you're doing yourself and them a disservice. But you have to phrase it in a way that is more helpful to them and less braggadocious for yourself.
Right.
And I guess when I
Yeah.
hear self promotion, I equate that a lot of times to bragging, and that is not where you want to go.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. That's a great one. Okay, and how about the introverts? If we talk about, because we hear a lot of things about that. When we are thinking about personal brand, you need to come in front. You need to present yourself. You need to be bold. You need to you need to be yourself and just come in front. In the
Yeah.
camera or many things. So how about introverts? Those people who find some where maybe difficulty to show up. So
Yeah.
personal brand also can work for them, and it
Yeah.
does. But how? Is there any tools they can carry, or the concept,
Yeah.
or maybe they can transform their personality? Yeah,
I
anything.
I think that, when you find the words that are important to you, when I work with my clients, we work on those words, and then I have 7 style categories that kind of line up with those words. Now the world is changing a little bit, so you have to, kind of take it with a grain of salt. But there are certain ways that you can physically show up that elicit certain words. So, for instance, if it was important for me to show up as very sweet and feminine, I would not show up in a faux leather jacket that is a more traditional cut and of this color. That's not what is going to work for me, right? So it's learning what physical things give people those silent clues to think that way about you. And the other thing is that what happens is that when you know that you're showing up in that way and it feels really good to you, and you can walk to your closet every morning and put on something that makes you feel empowered and impactful, boy, does your confidence go up. It absolutely goes up. And I was just telling the story the other day. I have this beautiful, very soft, pink suede kind of flowy jacket, and I love it. I love to look at it. I like to touch it, but I put it on and I don't feel good. I
Mm,
never feel good in it. The color is wrong for me. The style is wrong for me. The just the softness doesn't make me feel like me. And so I keep it in my closet and I look at it and I touch it every once in a while. And I guess it's a great reminder that, you know what, you have to show up, which means getting dressed in what makes you feel good. And when we skimp on that, it's like all day you're fighting how you feel internally. You show up online, you see yourself, or you go by a mirror and you see yourself and you think, just don't feel all that great. And
yeah,
when you don't feel great, it's hard to show up 100%, and it's hard to walk into the room with confidence, and it's hard then to confidently explain what you do and how you can solve a problem. It's like, you start your day with a weight on your shoulders. So,
yeah,
that it's kind of the secret weapon. And that's why, when I put my business together, we call it image impact branding, because it's
yeah.
your image has such an impact on your brand,
Mm,
that your physical image. And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
not about being perfect. I mean, we're all far from perfect, right? But it's just about feeling good and confident and knowing that you can, it's knowing, I got this, I can
Mm,
show up, and I don't have to worry about those things. Now I can concentrate on the things that are more important, like what I bring to the table, the solutions that I have. But if I'm worried about, this outfit not fitting me well, or it's not gonna, I don't like what I look like, then you're actually cheating yourself from doing better.
yes, yes. So again, it starts from you. whether it's about your physical appearance, your dress, your image, overall, what we are talking about. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And most important, the how much you feel comfortable and how much you feel you actually,
Yeah. Oh,
because because there's also a concept of getting inspired by someone and then again copying someone, though you are
yeah.
not that person, and then you are trying to be that person, maybe with the hairstyle, maybe with your dress code, maybe with
Hmm.
the way we talk, anything it could be, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, absolutely. That's such a great point. And we changed throughout the years too. So, what worked for us 10 years ago may no longer be working for us. So, staying up to date and relevant is different than being a fast fashion or copying the latest trends. Those may be great for some people, but they may not work for everybody. And if you just remember that, up to date, relevant, forward thinking. If you show up and you look really, really dated, going back to the first impression, if you show up and you look really dated, 20, 30 years ago dated,
oh, yeah.
then people think your ideas are dated. They can't imagine how you are going to take them, to the next step and move them forward if you haven't
Yeah,
even moved yourself forward.
yeah, true, true, gotcha,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Great one from your side, and I'm super, enjoying this conversation. As again, we love this topic,
Yeah.
and we like to be in that. All right, absolutely. Okay, so just wrapping up the conversation, and what will be the suggestion or topmost suggestions from your side, or expert opinion, I must say, from your side, for the people
Yeah.
who are new to personal branding, or they want to continue more. So
Mhm.
yeah, what will be from your side?
Yeah, so remember what your goals are. Go back to the GAP acronym. What are your goals? Who is the audience that you think you need to be connected with? And what's the perception that you have of yourself versus the perception that they have of themselves? Do you need to fill in the gap? And how are you going to do that? So that's one thing. Make sure that you are tapping into and talking about what sets you apart, and make sure you are consistent. You have to consistently show up. So the platform of choice for me is LinkedIn. That's not everybody's platform, but you have to again determine where's my audience? Who are the people that I want to talk to, and where do they live? Your digital presence right now is so important. We don't have the luxury of meeting people, at work or out to lunch as much as we used to do. And look at this too. We're in two different countries. How great is that? I mean,
Exactly.
that's so fun. So, determine what platform is best for you and show up consistently. Make sure that your brand, your colors, your fonts, anything that you use for your posts and your videos and all that stuff has consistency. Make sure that you're utilizing video. Video is a huge, huge push right now. Make sure that you're doing that. So, for my clients, I have not only a program for their image, but I also have a program where they can shout it out, which is a video component image, our component program where we do video every month, and then we build out content from that video, which is really pretty cool. So it takes it off their plate. So, so they have time to run their businesses. So, yeah, there's so many things that you can do, but consistency, clarity, and confidence and credibility, 4 C's that you have got to have each and every day.
Wow, absolutely. Very much great from your side. Thank you so much for being here, sharing a lot of insights about personal branding, which again can be helpful for everyone out there who joined us as an audience. Thank you very much, guys, for joining in. And for those who will watch us replay or recording, you are more than welcome to join at my YouTube channel, or you can go at LinkedIn and follow Carly. I have linked down her LinkedIn profile. You can get in
Perfect.
touch with her. You have any questions or queries related to personal branding, or any type of assistance you are looking from her, she is more than welcome to take you to the next level, right? Bye
Absolutely. And thank you so much for the invitation to join you. I really appreciate it. And thank you to all that have watched or will be watching. Appreciate it.
bye. Thank you very much. Take care.
All right. Bye bye. Thank you.
Thank you very much.